Hey everybody, welcome back to another Doctor Who review. Today we are reviewing the David Tennant 10th Doctor story, Utopia, The Sound of Drums and Last of the Time Lords. So this is the three-part series 3 finale as picked out by my wonderful 75th VA Day anniversary hat. At the end of this video we'll be picking another episode out of there to review next week on the channel. So I have a feeling this is going to be a longer video than usual because there's going to be a lot to get through. Got a whole page of stuff down there just for this video. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's just start with the plot. Actually no, let's start with how I have what were my thoughts prior to watching this episode. So I have ranked this episode's, I put Utopia in 2nd, Sound of Drums in 6th, and Last of the Time Lords in 5th on my series 3 ranking that I did a few months ago. And I put it in 2nd place, this whole story, on my top 10 10th Doctor story. So I really like this story. It's one of my favourites for sure. I think it's quite underrated. And after rewatching it, I still love it. I still think it's a really good story, a really good 3-parter. Definitely the best. Yeah, definitely the best 3-parter we've had in Doctor Who. I did find a few issues with it. Not many, just nitpicks, but on rewatch, and I'm going to be talking about those today. But let's get started with the plot. So this is the one where the Doctor and Martha, and now Jack, because he's clung to the exterior of the TARDIS, and they've gone to the end of the universe. And this guy who's called Professor Yana, he wants to take, well, he's trying to fix this rocket to take all of these people to Utopia on this. It's kind of a refugee camp. And then Yana, spoilers, this is going to be a big spoiler by the way if you haven't seen it already. Yana turns out to be the master who's put his Time Lord self in a fob watch and hidden himself away at the end of the universe. And then he regenerates into John Sim, and yeah, basically the Master just takes over the whole universe, and Martha just goes out and sorts some stuff out. So yeah, it's a really interesting plot, really dark and big. So let's get started. Let's talk about Tennant, David Tennant as the 10th Doctor. I mean, he's great as normal in Utopia and Sound of Drums. He is silent in Last of the Time Lords, basically, but I think so. We don't really get to see much of him in Last of the Time Lords. But what he does get in Utopia and the Sound of Drums, and in what he does get in Last of the Time Lords as well, is great as normal, and because he's just so good, David Tennant. Let's talk about Martha now. She's fantastic. Martha is probably my favourite Tennant companion. I don't know, it's her or Donna. That would be a really close call though. But she shines in Last of the Time Lords. I mean, she's great in Utopia and Sound of Drums, but she's mainly great in Last of the Time Lords, where she goes and sorts some stuff out and just saves the universe, basically. We'll get to that in a minute. Then let's talk about John Barrowman as Jack Harkness. I mean, what is there to say about him? He is just amazing. This is his returning episode, so last scene in Parting of the Ways from series 1. I just love his character. I love how he cannot die. He cannot die. It's just something great about his character. And then also the face of Bo at the end. Who saw that coming? Who? No. It's great. And I love this trio. The Doctor, Martha, and John, and Jack. They are really good trio. Let's talk about Martha's family. I've never really gotten into them in series 3. I've never really got them. I don't know whether it's just because we didn't really see much of them. We only saw them for one series, less than that, because they were only in a few episodes, like Smith and Jones, The Lazarus Experiment, and they showed up now and again throughout 42 and stuff like that, and they were in this one. So I've never really, they weren't in much, and Martha's mum got a brief cameo in Still on Earth, but in this one, they're really good. I was surprised when I watched this. I really enjoyed their characters. You know, they all want to shoot the Master stone dead. Martha, the mum especially, and Tish Jones, and I suppose the dad as well. they are really good. And they're just really good together. So yeah, I actually got them in this episode, and I felt for them, and I cared when one of them, I don't know, nearly got killed, and yeah, the acting was really good on their part. And they also need the character who's a character that never gets talked about in on YouTube and online and stuff. Tom Ellis as Tom Milligan. I really like his character. I think he's a really underappreciated character. A little bit wasted, I suppose, because he did literally just get killed about 30 minutes into the last of the Time Lords by the Master. But he is basically the Master's companion, and he's a really interesting character. Not much character development at all, really, but he's great. He is a really good character that never gets talked about. Okay, so moving on from that, let's talk about the main villains of the story. Starting with the obvious, John Sim as the Master. He's amazing. He is. But I have issues with him. I do. This leads into what I'm going to talk about later with bad parts. I really do. I have issues with him. But overall, I think he's great. And I think this remains to be my favourite Master story in the modern era. And as a story in general, I prefer World Enough and Time and the Doctor Falls. But as a Master story, this one is without a doubt the best. And John Sim is a big part of that. He is really good. But I'll talk about this. I'll talk about this when I get onto bad parts. He is a little bit too silly at times, and I'll go into more detail when we come onto that. Let's talk about Derek Jacobi as the Master. We don't see much of him. As Yana, he's good. But when he's the Master, when he turns and does that as the Master, he is so good. He's brilliant. He is amazing. Just Derek Jacobi. Oh, he is great. He is so good. The other two villains, the Toclafane and the Future Kind. The Toclafane, quite creepy. I will say that. I think the design and stuff and the execution is quite good. The callback to Utopia works as well. The Future Kind, I've literally just written down one word. Meh. They don't really do much for me, I'll be honest. I mean, we did need some kind of villain in Utopia. So we didn't. It wasn't essential. I suppose we could have done Utopia without this, but I suppose they do give Utopia a threat, I suppose. But it does fall victim of Russell T Davies' Monster of the Week. That there isn't many Russell T Davies era episodes that doesn't have villains in, and they're just like, oh, what's the monster going to be this week? It's just like that. It does fall victim of that, but they're good. They're functional. They're fine. Okay, so onto the good and the bad now. Sound with the good. Firstly, Jack clinging on to the exterior of the TARDIS at the very start of Utopia. So we're straight into the episode. Nice call back to Boomtown. It's kind of refueling the TARDIS. To put it in the short version. And Jack comes along, clings onto the exterior of the TARDIS. It's a great scene. And then they made the mistake of not putting Jack on the exterior of the TARDIS in the opening titles of Utopia. That's the biggest mistake. But yeah, that whole scene is great. And then when they arrive there and they think Jack is dead, but then he goes, it's just wonderful. It really is. Jack's story. So when Jack goes into that room with all of the stuff where no one can go in there without dying. And he's talking about how he can never die, and the doctor's, asking him, do you want to die? And he avoids the question. It's really good character. Now, next I want to talk about possibly the best thing in this whole three-parter. The watch. The fob watch. Because Utopia's, at the moment, it's just seeming like a nice filler episode. Going along, And then we get this watch, which is identical to the one that the Doctor used in Human Nature, the Family Blood. And then all the strange creatures starts playing in the background, and then the do. It's great, and then it's getting tense. It's getting there's a possibility that a Time Lord could be there, and then the reveal: I am the Master, Yana, you are not alone. It is so dramatic, so tense, so big. And then we've got the regeneration. Just that whole the last 10 minutes of Utopia is magnificent. And I was on the edge of the seat, even though I've seen this episode like 30 times before. Well, not obviously not that many, about 3 times before. I was still on the edge of my seat and thinking, oh wow, this is great. The Master kidnapping Martha's family to get the Martha. Again, just Martha's family being great. And, in Sound of Drums... Sound of Drums literally is just Spyfall Part 2. But, it's great. Martha's family are really good. It's tense. They're playing the music. The music for this episode is exceptional. And I know it's just what we've heard before, but it just works in these scenes. It's every now and again we get a battle sequence, and they're playing all the strange creatures in the background. My favourite track of all time, personally. Not just by Murray Gold, ever. It just works great. The paradox machine, the math system of the TARDIS, really interesting. And how that leads into, that's the Time Lord with the Talk of the Fane coming back and backwards in time, and, fantastic. And the final Doctor and the Master standoff. Yeah, another great thing about Last of the Time Lords. Where they're standing there on the cliff. This is it. Whoever wins this wins the thing. Wins the whole thing. Thing. And then Martha leaving at the end was great. This was so much better than Rose's exit in Doomsday. Possibly controversial, but I don't like Rose's exit in Doomsday. I don't. I think it's way too drawn out. And I think that was mainly for people who liked Rose, loved Rose's character. I'm not a lover of Rose, I must admit. I liked her. I didn't not like her, but I thought her exit was way too drawn out. Martha is just a great independent character, and she walks off. She's finished. She walks off. It's great. Now we have a couple of things to talk about here for the bad parts. Now, some of these might not make total sense, but some of them are just nitpicks. My first one being the big nitpick. The other two, they're just things that I picked up on this time. The third one I've always thought, but the second one I've never thought this much about before. Let's start with the first one. It's in Utopia. And this might have been explained, I don't know, it probably has been explained. I didn't notice it. The rogue future kind. So that future kind that gets in. That's in there. It's already in there before the end where Yana lets them all in. There's this one future kind. How did that one get in? I don't know if you know what I mean, but there's this one future kind that gets in. That it's already in there. We don't see it get in. It's just there. How did it get in? I don't think we got an explanation on that. We might have done, but I don't think we did. The second one is my main big issue with this one. And it involves the Master. This goes back to what I was saying earlier when I was talking about him. Don't get me wrong, John Simm's Master is great. I really do like his Master. But he is way too silly at times. Now, there's good parts about the Master being silly. One where he's taunting the Doctor, he's taunting his victims. That's what I love about the Master, John Simm especially. But then when he's just being downright stupid, he's a little bit annoying. A perfect example of this is when when he's with the other MPs and he's going, funny is this. Not funny is this. And then he just goes on for way too long, and I'm just like, get on with it, Sim. Now, I don't hate that scene, but I've never thought about that before, but he just got to me this time, and I just thought he's being a bit too silly here. The other time where it happened is also in Sound of Drums, and when he's talking to President Winter, he's going, He's just being stupid. I know he's trying to act, all wacky because he's the Master, but I just think they went a little bit too much. And there's other times as well. Overall, I think I like him, but there are just some times that I didn't like him. Then we've got the resolution. The resolution, it's a Deus Ex Machina as a resolution again. I really don't get it. I don't get the resolution. I really don't. The acting is great and all that, but I just don't get how it's resolved, all these people yelling doctor, and the doctor suddenly just comes back to life. What? No, I don't get it. If you can explain this down in the comments, please do, because I would love to hear it. But I didn't get it. So that's the review of Utopia, The Sounds of Jump Last of the Time Lords. Yeah, like I predicted, this is a long video than normal, 15:35. And we've still got to pick an episode out of there. So yeah, just to wrap this up quickly, a great episode. A rating out of 10? All day long, prior to watching this recently, it would have been a 10 out of 10. But I've been way, way too generous with my ratings. I've given pretty much, this is the 4th episode that I reviewed. 3 out of the 4 of them, 3 out of the 4 of them, two out of the 4 of them so far, I've given a 10. I'm not giving this one a 10. And I have given a lot of my classic reviews a 10 out of 10. 3 out of the 4 classic reviews that I've done, I've given a 10 out of 10. I am dropping this one down to a 9.5. On the watching level, it's a 10, but on the technical note, I just have to bring it down to a 9.5 because of those things I mentioned earlier. Alright, let's get in here. Apologies, this might be a little bit loud. It was last time. I didn't think it would be, but it was when I watched it back. This is what I want. I don't want a Tennant. I don't want an Eccleston, because I've seen them. I don't want a Russell T Davies. A Smith would be good. I think if I could choose anything, I would like a Matt Smith. A Capaldi. I wouldn't like a Series 10 Capaldi one. If it is a one that I've seen really recently, I will have to put it back because I have literally just done a marathon. So a Series 10 Capaldi, I've seen it recently, so I'll probably have to put it back. End of Series 9, again, I've seen it recently. Face the Raven, Heaven Sent, Hellbent, I've seen it recently, I'll have to put it back. Anything before Face the Raven would be nice, but not. Although specials, a David Tennant specials would be alright. Let's just get in there. Let's just see what we're gonna have, and I can't see. Let's see what we get this time in the episode reviews. Let's have a look. Okay. I'm not happy, I must admit. I'm not ecstatic with the one I've picked. I'm not happy at all, actually. Because it is a Capaldi. It's Series 8. In its early Series 8. So I haven't seen it too recently. It's just not an episode that I like. Robot of Sherwood. Ouch. I'm not happy. I'm not. I don't hate this episode, but it's just not an episode that I like, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that's this video for today, guys. What are your thoughts on this episode? Please do put something down in the comments below. I'd love to hear it. And subscribe maybe, and like if you're feeling generous. Bye for now.